with Anthony Diaz, one of my fellow members of Homes for Newark. You all may remember that he ran for city council. This is a great guy, and he's the co-founder of the Newark Water Council. So he's agreed to answer some of our questions about Newark's water safety. Based on your expertise and your research, from your research, is all of Newark's water contaminated?
I would say that not all of Newark's water is contaminated. I would say that it affects all Newark residents, though.
Okay. What is the single greatest threat to Newark's water supply? Or what is the, maybe I should ask the question differently. Why is Newark's water contaminated? How did this happen?
So I would say probably neglect. Neglect is the biggest reason why this happened. It's not like we don't have the technology. It's not like we don't have the money to put the proper procedures and things in place to protect the citizens of the city and just the population at large. But it takes a lot of money. This isn't things that you get profit from. So it's not. I would say it's not like a shiny new building. So it's infrastructure, and infrastructure is usually like the last thing that is replaced or is put on a budget line for. So you're talking about billions of dollars. The solution here is federal grant money or federal funding. And that's, again, it's billions of dollars. We're not talking about $75 million, which they already got from the state. We're talking about just millions and millions, billions upon dollars, so they can replace all the lines in Newark and, put a state-of-the-art treatment facility in line.
Okay. Next question. Do you believe the city is doing enough or all that it can do?
No, absolutely. Absolutely not. The city is not doing all the things that the city has put in place are almost like Band-Aids on an iPhone. I have scrutinized each of the programs that they put in place. They said that every resident in the city can get a filter no matter if they're in an affected area or unaffected area, and that's not true. We have members of part of the coalition that have been flat out denied water filters. We've had members in the coalition that have gone to get filters and they have been told that they've already received 3 filters when they've only received 1 or none at all. So I feel like the numbers that the city is throwing out there are not all correct and they need to be re-examined. The lead service line replacement for homes, they're only going to replace 16,000 lines. 40,000 residents are affected. Obviously there's more than 16,000 homeowners in the city of Newark. So when I look at that number, it's just not enough. And not only that, they're charging residents up to $1,000 for this lead replacement. In the city of Flint, they didn't charge them at all. They didn't charge them anything.
So that brings me to another question. I've heard about this abatement program where the city is helping homeowners replace the lines. You're saying they're not paying for it outright. They're only paying a certain amount.
They're only paying a certain amount, which, yes, it costs thousands and thousands of dollars.
Can you give us a ballpark? Like if you're a private homeowner, how much does it cost to replace one of those?
So it could be, as little as $500 or upwards of $15,000, depending on if you have a corner house, where your line connection is, if you're in the middle of the block, end of the block, there's a lot of variables that take place. So they're selling it as, we're only charging up to $1,000 that you can pay over time. But again, the residents of Flint are given this program for free. Now the other problem is this, and this is what was seen in Flint, is that there wasn't transparency in this program. So let's say, Freedom, your house costs $15,000 to replace, but my house only costs $5,000 to replace. Which one do you think the city is going to replace? Mine or yours?
$5,000.
Exactly. So again, but we don't know if all of these tangible, because again, the process isn't transparent.
It's not transparent. To what extent, if any, do you believe the federal government should be involved? You touched on this a little bit.
So the federal government needs to be 100% involved. Again, it's federal funding to completely change the infrastructure of the city of Newark. We don't have privatized water in the city. The residents control this water. The city controls this water. And that's how we want it to stay that way. But again, it's going to cost millions, if not billions of dollars to replace all the lines, to make sure, to put an education program into place, to physically replace the lines, to do research and make sure that, you're talking about years of generational poisoning. So it's like there's health issues involved.
Sure.
So it's a multifaceted problem, and I think the federal government, again, has resources that the city doesn't have.
Have we heard from the federal government?
So the EPA stance, the last time I was in court, this is their line, is that the city of Newark is doing everything to the letter of the law. So it's not whether or not the city is doing everything in this best interest, it's they're doing everything
They're legally bound to do.
legally bound to do.
Not necessarily what needs to be done.
Exactly. And so, again, one of the things I talk about often is like, we've all been here and we've all seen an election. And yes, I ran for council, but you see, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on these campaigns. You see the buses out there, you see the flyers, you see the street teams. So why isn't this happening? You're literally talking about a problem that affects more than 10% of the population in Newark. Right. To me, that sounds like a crisis. Yes. That sounds like a problem.
Yes.
So, again, we need to, I think federal involvement is necessary.
You take the sable, the water, it's the water.
No problem.
Will it? All right. Given what we've been told about lead poisoning, and I think the narrative we hear is that the lead in the water is from old pipes.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? Is that
no? So it's yes and no.
Yes and no.
I would say it's a factor, but it's not the direct problem. So there has been treatment issues with the city's water, so that comes from the treatment plant itself. But yes, we
Which
have.
Is where? Where's the treatment plant?
I know there's several, but there's one in the back of the East Ward.
Okay.
I think that's the main department or water department, but I know that there's another one near the watersheds as well. So it's like, there's some in the Wanacue and the Paquonic area because those are the two watersheds, and then there's another plant here. So I think the corrosion inhibitor itself that was failing was based out of the Newark plant.
Okay.
Yes.
The corrosion inhibitor is the thing that stops.
That's supposed to prevent lead, prevent if you have lead pipes, it's supposed to prevent the lead from
like leaching into the
Yes,
water.
exactly.
Wow, so it seems strange to me that we didn't have lead pipes,
So,
knowingly at this point in history.
Yes, I can't remember the year, but it was a federal law that these pipes were supposed to be changed, like, I want to say more than 50 years ago.
So why do we still have lead pipes?
Again, neglect.
Neglect. So this
You're
is
talking
something
about
this
money.
something-
That's all it boils down to money. It's like, can we pay the money to fix this issue, or do we wait until it becomes a real problem? And you see now, it's like, it's not even being talked about. So technically, it's not even a real problem to the city. Because if it was a public outcry, then you'll see more people demanding their pipes being changed. You would see people in the streets demanding more education on this.
Right.
You still have citizens boiling their water because they feel like that'll get lead out. So that's how I know
that does not do anything.
That doesn't do anything. That's like probably one of the worst things that you can do.
Okay. Just got a few more questions, and my phone is locked. Other than lead, are there other contaminants that we need to be worried about? I've heard rumors about carcinogens and other chemical compounds that are in high concentration in our water that shouldn't be.
Yes, if you go to the EPA's website, the New Jersey Environmental Protection Agency website, you can actually bring up everything that is found in our water.
Okay.
So, I used to know these things off the top of my head. Obviously, I've been focusing on lead, but yes, there are other things that have been found in the water. There's an acid compound, I can't remember the name, that was supposed to... Halicidic acid. And that is a carcinogen that is again, these are... the city has sent out letters about this, but they're saying there's nothing to worry about. So, and then not only that, we've also had a recent outbreak of Legionnaires found in a water supply in one of the senior buildings downtown, which the city at first said it was not a water supply issue, it was an isolated issue. And then later it came out and said, yes, there was a water supply.
Wow. Okay. If there are other contaminants, chemicals, carcinogens in Newark's water supply, do you know anything about how that affects? We've talked a lot about homes. Do you know how large apartment buildings like the Pavilion or the Colonnade are affected? Do we have those kinds of older?
So depending, like I can't speak to the pavilion specifically, but I know that some, like even we were told when you look at the city's literature, it says like big apartment buildings aren't affected.
Right.
But I know that there are residents that received filters in their buildings because they were told they are affected. So it can be hit or miss. I know that some of like the NHA housing was told that they're not affected and they weren't willing to do water testing. So I think it's important that everyone gets their water tested, just so you know specifically if it affects your home, because there's so many variables in place, and especially in a large building with over 1,000 units.
Well, over 500 units, but over 1,000 people. Right?
Over 1,000 people, over 500 units. So that's a lot of water coming in and out. So it could affect it, it could not. But the thing is, if you don't know, you want to err on the side of caution than rather not. So that's why it's important to get your water tested, if not by an independent person within the city, just so you have more information at your disposal.
Do you recommend the water testing from the city, or do you recommend independent?
Again, we've had problems when the city has come out to test people's water. They've been unprepared, they've been unwilling, they didn't have the right supplies. But on paper, it's the best thing that you can do, because then you have a documentation. Paper trail. But I always suggest getting an independent.
So maybe do both.
Do both. That way you can see if your results, your independent results, line up with the city's results. And even within that, we found that different homes have seen different results.
Okay.
I think one resident had, she got tested by the city twice and independent once, and all three came out with different results.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What are your? So I guess this has a little bit to do with federal government involvement, but do you believe that the city or the federal government should be offering tax abatements to landlords in, say, a situation where maybe what they need is what they call a commercial water filter? Is that something that?
So I really can't speak on like commercial water filters in general. I just
say the industrial kind.
Not
the individuals, but something that's cleaning the water for the entire building.
I think that they should just the government should just come in and replace all the pipes.
Okay.
I think that to me is the simplest solution. Long term, it's the most effective, because even if you have a commercial filter, if it breaks down, then the onus is on the homeowner.
Right.
And then if the homeowner
or the landlord,
it could be a slumlord who's not really going to be incentivized to fix that. But if you're talking about if all the pipes are replaced throughout the city,
then we're dealing with the problem.
You're dealing with the biggest part of the problem, because then you don't have this issue of, oh, do I have a lead house or not? Do I have this possibly leaching in my water? Now, the water treatment itself, that's another point of contention, and again, I believe requires some federal oversight. But one of the things that we talk about is lead, and then how haphazardly the city is deciding where to put its resources in. So if the resources were spread throughout the city, then we wouldn't have this issue.
Okay. Anthony, thank you very much.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.